Hello and welcome to Grid Live Pre-Race. 21 races down, 1 to go, and 0 points between Sir Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. And whoever finishes ahead is the 2021 FIA Formula One World Champion. I'm Joe Samniego, along with Joshua Birch, Ben Schneider, and Kobe Lambeth from the Podium Finish to discuss the season finale for the Formula One World Championship. And we encourage everyone to check out our Patreon. A big thank you for Colin, Mark, Michelle, and Robin for keeping us on the air, especially throughout this exciting 2021 season. It's all coming down to this last race, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And of course, if both of them finish outside the top 10, no points. Max holds the tiebreakers with the most wins, 9 wins compared to Lewis's 8 wins. And the intensity hasn't let up all season long and hasn't let up since the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix last race weekend. Today in qualifying, the first advantage went to Max Verstappen. Verstappen taking the pole on qualifying, brilliant strategy by him and his teammate Sergio Perez to use the slipstream on the straights. Caught Mercedes by surprise, and at the end, Max Verstappen on the pole. But here's the big thing: he's gonna be on the soft tires. He went with soft tires in Q2. Hamilton, he is starting second place, the dirty side of the track, but he'll be on the medium tires. Now, one of the big things we're going to be really important, I'll be watching the start, as you can see here in the map. The clean side of the track, the pole sitter, of course, which is closest towards the pit wall, you're going to get a nice entry into that first corner, and of course, that'll lead all the way to that first hairpin, which is essentially the new area of the track. You no longer have the chicane, almost a flat out run to that hairpin. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Max Verstappen can have that great start on the soft tires while Lewis Hamilton's on the medium tires. So, first question starting out with you, Ben. How critical is it to have the best start in this race? And is it really Red Bull's set to control the start?
Well, obviously, it's critical for Red Bull because they have the advantage on the tire with a soft compound and are starting on pole position with Max. I'd love to know if Red Bull wanted to do that or not. I think Verstappen locked up on the medium tire. I think that kind of forced their hand a little bit to start on fresh softs rather than a medium that you don't know if it's going to be at optimal performance because that's the tire you have to start the race on. For Mercedes, I think, it would be obviously great if Lewis could get a good launch off into the first corner and then kind of control the race from there. But I think, especially with the changes that they made to the track, it's not going to be like, thinking back to 5 years ago when Lewis was in a different title battle with his teammate Nico Rosberg and was able to back Nico up into the field, drive a little bit slower to try to get Nico overtaken by a couple of rivals. I think the changes that we've seen to the track are going to make overtaking a little bit easier. So it might be as simple as a good run out of a corner and a pass on DRS straight for Lewis. So I think it's critical to get a good start tomorrow, particularly if you're Red Bull, but maybe not as critical as it would have been in years past with new changes to the track.
Yeah, and I know we'll get a little bit into the track, and the track changes itself in a little bit, but I do think it's definitely going to be critical that Max is going to want to get out ahead of Lewis, and Lewis is going to need to make sure he's right behind Max heading into that heavy braking zone since the chicane has been removed. I know everybody's been wondering all week long, are we going to see contact between Max and Lewis on the first lap? Or we're gonna see it at some point during the race. We don't know that yet. May happen, may not happen. But I know one thing, and I know that Max Verstappen, Red Bull, they need to make sure that they're out front so they can control this race in their own destiny. Because if they make this one little tiny mistake, Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes is gonna be ready to pounce. And this is really crazy that after all of these races, this championship spanned all these months, and it's come down to the very last race. And I'm going to let our viewers in on a little secret. This will be the very first time I've ever seen the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix live. I've seen the highlights in the past, but I've never actually watched the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix because the championship is wrapped up. And I'm typically like, oh, well, there's really nothing to watch. So I'm really excited to watch my very first live race at the Yas Marina Circuit.
Don't worry, Kobe. You haven't missed much in the past. I said last year in the commentary that when we did it on the watch along, I said about lap 20, I was falling asleep, and it was a very bizarre end of the year last year. It was a very dull race after a cracker we had the time before in Shakir. So this one is not going to be boring. This is going to be one of the races that we talk about for all time. It's keyed up perfectly. I said at the end of the qualifying hour as well, whoever is writing the script for 2021 has dished up the perfect finale with Verstappen on pole position with Lewis Hamilton alongside him. The start will be crucial. If you're of the opinion that they're going to run into each other immediately, then it's the emphasis that Verstappen can literally just sort of turn in on Lewis Hamilton towards turn one. Hamilton will have to get the better start. In terms of the practice starts they did, in free practice 3, the latest one they did, Verstappen did start, but he bogged down and nearly went into anti-stalls. We didn't get a perfect 5-point find. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, got a clean start as well and got a reaction time much faster. So Hamilton, I think, is going to start better, and Verstappen's going to have to come up alongside him to defend into that first corner. As Ben said, it's not as crucial anymore, the start, because the track has opened up a lot more as well. Looking at it in the Formula 2 race that's happening directly below me is at the moment, we're just seeing a great move around the outside. Ticked him at turn 9 as well, tried to have a go, and that's what it is. That new hairpin at turn 9 promotes the overtaking of just slinging it around the outside into the last sector. Even the new turn 5 hairpin as well, third gear, 100 km/h corner. That's going to be after that very tricky 90-degree first corner. You up the hill, flat out, and then you approach the hairpin. If any contact or any move is going to happen, it's down at that hairpin. So I'm very much looking forward to it. But in all honesty with you, I'm sort of shaking ever so slightly now because I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking we are going to have the race of the decade, the century, the race of Formula One history tomorrow. And I can't wait because it's keyed up perfectly. And I think we're not going to know for majority of the race who's going to be the world champion.
I gotta agree. I feel majority of the race, we're not going to know who's the world champion. Probably going to come down to strategy, especially since both teams are on different tires. The Mercedes on the medium tires. So one of the things you've been talking about, the start not being so crucial, I have to agree because I feel if you're a Mercedes, if you know Lewis is right behind Max, second place, Max is going to have to pit again much earlier than you. And if Max was to be forced into making a flat spot in the tire, that could give him a big disadvantage and Lewis an upper hand. We definitely want to encourage everyone to share their questions and opinions with us. And we do got one from Last Name. We haven't seen Last Name in the Formula One broadcast in such a long time. Good to have you join us. Who do you think is in the best position for the race? I know definitely that's a great question, and definitely when it comes to our group here, when it comes to who do you think is in the best position in the race right now as it stands, I gotta say, I think right now Max Verstappen, he's on pole. Joshua, do you have a different opinion?
I'll go with what I've been saying throughout the weekend is that Hamilton has got the momentum of the last 3 races. He's got that new, fresher engine compared to Max. He's got the drive to do it. But Verstappen, never count him out. As you say, he's been the best driver of the season in terms of if he's out there and he's on his own, he just takes off. But he's also been one of the most controversial drivers of the season in terms of having rules rewritten around him into what's legal and what's not legal. It very much is a 50-50. You don't know what's going to happen. Hamilton has got the momentum, but Verstappen has the pace this weekend. So it's a tricky one. I said earlier on, heart says Max for his first title, head says Lewis for his 8th. It's a weird situation, but going off for qualifying, you don't just get 3/10 from a toe. Verstappen has got that pace in that car, and Hamilton did crack under that pressure in qualifying.
I'm leaning towards Lewis. I just think the soft tire starting for Red Bull might catch them out. And, I think Lewis has been in this position before. Max hasn't. This is his first time fighting for a world championship. And I think, despite what he may say, kind of deflecting those questions about pressure, we've seen the pressure get to him these last couple of races as Lewis has been hard charging on, catching him, closing into that gap. I just think it's setting up for Lewis just a little bit better this weekend so far.
Yes, and Lewis has been in this position obviously a lot more times than Max, would typically wraps up the championship several races early. But like Josh was saying, right now I think my heart says Max, but my head says Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes. It seems like that they may be in the best position to take this, but who knows? Anyone's game, as we've been saying all season. Max and Lewis been pretty much even.
All pretty much even. And I think, as Adam would say, of course, Adam unavailable today, we might see something we've never seen in this race before. And for our Formula One season finale, with this amount of pressure between the drivers, we could see a mistake from one of them. And of course, with the circuit last year, of course, that was the last year with the old layout. This new layout, very different. The FIA even classified it as a new track. Now, with that old layout, Lewis Hamilton, 5 times he's won there, and Max Verstappen won there last year. The changes, the track is much more faster, more flowing laps. Lap times are much faster, we're seeing. And of course, if you have that toe, the 2 longer DRS zones, really quick laps. Now, Lewis Hamilton seems to have the speed advantage over Max pretty much most of the race weekend. However, qualifying, Max Verstappen, he got that upper hand. And of course, for Lewis Hamilton, he's going to have to get around Max Verstappen. As Max Verstappen has made that clear all year long, that is going to be a very risky move because he is very aggressive in making sure he's not going to let you by easily. Now, this is not the first time it's happened in Formula One where we have the high anxiety of contact determining the championship. Of course, go back to 1989. Alan Prost leading the championship over Ayrton Senna. They collide at Suzuka, Japan. Prost unable to finish the race. Senna does, but is disqualified. Prost wins the championship. 1990, again, Prost and Senna. Lap 1, turn 1. As Murray Walker said, determined immediately. Senna went for the gap. It closed, and both of them were out of the race very early on. Then 1994, Schumacher makes an error, hits the wall. Here comes Damon Hill to the inside. Schumacher tunes to Damon Hill. Both of them unable to finish the race. 1 point difference. Schumacher, first championship. And then, of course, 1997. Schumacher leading the race. Jack Villeneuve going for the pass. Schumacher again turns in. Doesn't get any damage to Villeneuve. Villeneuve brought that car home. Did get enough damage, but was still able to get home. Schumacher in the ground pit, and then later on the FIA disqualified him from the championship. So this is not something uncommon to see, and those concerns about a collision determining the championship. Now, my question for all of you, starting with you, Kobe. We know Prost, Senna, and Schumacher, they're all Rivera's legend. We just talked about them. Hamilton, a legend right now with everything he's done. He looked up to Senna growing up. Verstappen, 24 years old, watch Schumacher dominate F1. All those drivers, they're going to be legends, all of them. Martin Brundle has said with Senna, if you blink to avoid the crash, game over. Senna knows he's going to exploit that every time. If this championship is decided because of contact, do you believe it's more neither driver given an inch or a deliberate manner, as we've seen a couple times?
Well, Joe, for starters, I'm pretty sure all Formula One fans all over the globe can agree with this, but I don't think anybody wants to see a championship decided by contact or tempers boiling over. But I do think if there's contact, I know, as Josh says, the people who are writing the script, it seems like the people who are writing the script are setting this up to be a controversial moment with contact deciding a championship. But I'm hoping if there is some sort of contact, I hope it's just two drivers not giving an inch going for the win, because if it's something that's absolutely deliberate, oh man, that's just gonna be really ugly and quite a way to end one of the greatest Formula One seasons that we've seen in recent memory. I remember earlier this year, NASCAR and Fox was saying, "Is this going to be the best season ever?" Well, I think you can apply that to Formula One because, in my opinion, this has been one of the best seasons ever.
Completely agree with you. I do not want this championship decided in the courtrooms in Paris. I want this decided on the racetrack over 58 laps of Yas Marina. And I think it will be. I think Max Verstappen knows All he has to do is take Lewis Hamilton out and he's world champion. But the stewards have made it pretty clear throughout the weekend. I mean, Michael Masi even going so far as to put it in the FIA rule book of the programs he sends out over the weekend, his event notes, Article 12.4.5. For all the FIA championships, the stewards may also decide to impose the following penalties of a suspension for one or more competitions, that's the events, withdrawal of points for the championship, and also an amendment of the number A added onto those numbers. Points should not be deducted separately from the drivers and competitors, save in exceptional circumstances. So even the FIA are worried about the possibility of them coming together and the title being decided that way. They've had to include that from the International Sporting Code. If they do come together, it will be, as I agree with Kobe, I hope it's going to be the situation of it's two drivers not giving an inch. My fear is turn one, as it was in Saudi Arabia, after we saw two starts where Max Verstappen made controversial moves on Lewis Hamilton. And then, how long have you got tomorrow evening? Because we're going to have safety cars, probably going to have a red flag. We'll probably be waiting around a while as well to find out exactly what we're going to have. Because this is not going to be settled easily. This is going to be wheel-to-wheel drama like we have never seen before. Hopefully, Max and Lewis learn from the past and they don't make the contacts that Senna and Prost did, Schumacher and Hill did, or Schumacher and Villeneuve as well. Hopefully, they learn from that. They give us what the fans have wanted that we've never actually truly had. A proper wheel-to-wheel title fight between the two championship protagonists going on for the entire race. If they're not side by side out that last corner, then I want a refund from Pixar because cars lied to me.
Yeah, that's what got me hooked on the whole sport, Josh, the Cars franchise. So I'm glad you brought that up. I don't really have too much to add. I'd say everybody's concerned about lap one, turn one. I've got to say I'm probably concerned about the entire race because we saw in Saudi Arabia that as the race continued to play out, the tension continued to build, and then we saw the climax of everything when Verstappen and Hamilton actually came together. And I think it really just speaks to how talented Lewis is, that even with a broken front wing, he continued to punch out fastest laps. They were really fortunate that they didn't both retire right there on the spot, and then we'd be talking about a completely different scenario here. So I think it's definitely a concern that's on a lot of people's minds. And I like I was said on this program last week, I really hope that everybody keeps it clean. I know Max is only 24 years old. He's still very young. I know how badly he wants it, but I think he's got to keep a level head here. And I think if he's honest with himself, he has to think that he can beat Lewis on straight up pace anyway. So what's the reason that you would even consider a move like that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the race and contact, it's going to be because both drivers not giving an inch. That's what it seems to be at Silverstone, what we saw at Monza, and then, of course, Saudi Arabia, miscommunication. We all know that was something else, but definitely I think it's going to be the two of them racing hard. And we do have another question from the chat room. Do you think Norris can hold third, or do you think Perez and Bottas can overtake him now? Of course, Lando Norris got third in qualifying. Starting with you, Kobe, what do you anticipate from Lando Norris starting up in third?
I would say first and foremost, I think is definitely a sigh of relief for Lando Norris and McLaren to qualify and let up the grid, because recently in recent races they've been struggling a lot lately. I remember for this last half of the season we've been talking about the battle in the constructor between Ferrari and McLaren, which one is going to get the best of who. And after Ferrari brought that major upgrade, Ferrari's really taken off, and McLaren's been left in the dust since their win with Daniel Ricciardo at Monza at the Italian Grand Prix. And I think this is a great opportunity for McLaren to end the season on a high note after they started off so strong and kind of faded in this second half of the season. And your question, do we think Lando Norris can hold third? I think it really depends on what happens at the start. But if there's contact between Max and Lewis, maybe Lando Norris can get the win at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Who knows? And like you were saying about Adam and what he says, we may see something we've never seen before at this year's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
I'm glad this was brought up because I actually just saw a tweet from Tony DeZino, who was previously with NBC Sports, covered Formula One back when they had the US TV rights here. And he says, prediction, Max and Lewis collide tomorrow. Lando wins his first Grand Prix. Basically 1997 Part 2 title contenders clash, and the up-and-coming McLaren driver wins his first race before regulations change the next year. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go a little bit offbeat and pick a winner. I'm so far back anyway, it doesn't really matter. I can just kind of pick whoever. I guess maybe I'll pick somebody to win the championship, but who knows? Maybe Lando Norris will get redemption for Russia this year and get that first win with McLaren.
I think Lando will win. I'll back that completely. I've already got several things in my mind of what things I could say because, Murray said, oh, I never planned anything. You just said it as well. I've thought of a couple of gems over the past couple of days that I haven't deliberately gone on my way to find. But if they do crash, I've got a couple of very interesting things I could say, homaging back to the past as well with them. So I've got those in my head as well, and I'll say them. On that basis, yeah, I think I don't think Bottas is starting down in 6th place as well. He's got the 2 Ferraris to contend with Sainz in 5th and Leclerc starting 7th. So I think Bottas has actually sort of made a massive mistake in qualifying and has put himself out of helping his teammates. So Hamilton's actually caught up in a Red Bull sandwich. And remember what happened in America? It could very much be that Verstappen could do an undercut strategy on him again. So Mercedes are going to be wary of that. Bottas needs a great start tomorrow to get right back up there. But I think Lando is in prime position to take victory tomorrow. I really do. Because he knows that if he shows Hamilton or Verstappen any wheel, they'll jump out of the way because they cannot risk each other being taken off in a separate accident. Max and Lewis together, they would both run each other off the road. But if Max goes against Lando or Lewis goes against Lando, they will both be thinking, hang on, if I'm out here, I'm not world champion. So they'll back off. So Lando needs a great start and needs to get up there. I'd hang back a bit out of turn 1, just in case Verstappen and Hamilton do touch. And then I'll go full throttle up and try and get but one of them into the hairpin at turn 5 and one of them into turn 6 and 7 because it's a quick enough, straight enough to do that. But yeah, watch out for Lando tomorrow. He could win his first race. And 1997 style, it was a McLaren who won that day. Mika Hakkinen took his first title.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, the big thing, Lando starting 3rd, he's going to be right behind Max Verstappen in that clean line. If he gets a great launch, and so does Max, it could be Lewis Hamilton in 3rd place, having to get around that McLaren, which does have a Mercedes engine. We see Humperdinck's comment, I think Bottas will pass Norris, but Perez and Norris will battle. Definitely, we encourage everyone to keep sharing your comments here in our program. Love to answer questions and share your opinions on the air now. Of course, this newer, faster Yas Marina circuit will have 2 longer DRS zones on those back straights in the 2nd sector. Now they're nearly back-to-back. As you can see, there is a quick left-right-hand corner, then back again on DRS. The one new tricky corner that seems to be really catching drivers, turn 14. Ocon had a close call with the wall early on Friday. Then we saw Bottas hit the wall, and then Kimi had that big crash at the end of 2nd practice. Drivers are really pushing it through that technical section now compared to where it's just seen with the old corners. It was just stop, go, where here they're flowing and they're trying to push each and every inch. And turn 14, that wall is pretty close. Knowing that we got essentially the new reduced sense of urgency with the start, longer DRS zones, and potential passing opportunities, including those hairpin corners that we're seeing. Does this make it where we could see a driver make a mistake and then the potential for a safety car in a track where traditionally we don't see a whole lot of safety cars or red flags?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see a very interesting race tomorrow because we've already seen the Formula 2 race that's just happened. The first sprint race that was earlier on this morning, it wasn't really that lackluster. It never is. But race 2, where there's points on the board and it doesn't affect your starting position for the feature race on Sunday because that's already been delivered in the qualifying, we often see more drama. And we had 3 safety car periods back to back because they couldn't get a couple of corners without somebody crashing into each other. The new track here in Abu Dhabi, because it is effectively a new circuit, it's been reprofiled too much to be classed as the same track, but it is incredibly fast. It's a lot more pleasurable to drive. It's a lot more pleasurable to watch as well. We've seen some cracking racing in the junior formula, and I think we're going to see some cracking racing tomorrow. Crunch points, turn 9, it's a banking. People have been throwing up the inside of the Formula 2, making contact. They've been running 3 abreast into there as well. They're now the only chicane on the track, turn 6 and 7. We saw 4 abreast at the start of the Formula 2 race, and Jack Doohan went up and sideways into the air as well, but he's okay. He just came back down, like he just run over. Front 2 wheels came up like a wheelie. How like his grandfather, that is as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be very chaotic tomorrow. I'm predicting 2 safety cars and a red flag to happen at some point as well, because if a driver clips somebody coming into either turn 6 or 7 or turn 9 at the hairpin, it'll be a big accident and it'll break the Tech Pro again, like we saw in Saudi, and there'll have to be a short red flag.
Yeah, well, historically, we haven't seen a lot of safety cars at this track, and I think I know Kobe was mentioning at the start, that he hasn't even watched an Abu Dhabi Grand Prix live as it's happening, as the championship's been wrapped up. I think the only Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that I've really gotten invested in and truly been on the edge of my seat was 2016, and we also had a title fight going on that year, so that was a tense moment. It's a beautiful circuit, especially when it's lit up at night, but it hasn't historically produced the most exciting or thrilling racing. I think that's going to change this year because of all the changes to the track. So, like Josh was saying, I don't know if I go quite so far as to predict a red flag, but I would absolutely be shocked if we don't get at least 1 or 2 safety cars tomorrow. And the way Michael Masi's been calling the shots this year, who knows? A red flag certainly isn't out of the question. I just don't know if I'm going to go so far as to make such a prediction here, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see that either.
Yeah, safety car definitely not out of the question. And Josh, like you were saying, with those Formula 2 races, really enjoyable action in the 2 sprint races we've already seen today. But before my power net, really like that battle between Jahan Deruvala and Felipe Drugovich. Saw a lot of overtaking in that race. And before one in the air, saw the second Formula 2 race of the weekend, lots of overtaking as well. And given the history of this track and the changes, I think the changes are definitely going to improve the quality of racing, the on-track product. Since I've seen the comments from several of the drivers this weekend, and they're really happy with all of the changes. They believe it's going to make for a better show. And to answer the question, does this new track reduce the sense of urgency? I think it does, because with the new changes, it's really opened up the opportunities for more overtaking all around. And I think it's going to be a great show after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, typically produces what we like to call, I guess, stinker races, as some people like to say.
I have to agree. I think it's going to be great. Intense racing. It's not so critical to start. And of course, the big thing, the news we heard, 2030, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix will be hosting the season finale up to 2030, and probably likely will, again, get another renewal, more deals to continue hosting. So hopefully we get some great racing. Now, one of the things, of course, we've had such a wonderful championship season all year long. The intensity, the battle between the top 2, and they're coming here leveled on points, tied. Several times the F1 championship has been determined by 1 point, and that includes, of course, Lewis Hamilton being involved in 2008 with 1 point over Felipe Massa. And then, of course, he's been on the opposite end when Kimi Räikkönen with 1 point over Lewis and Fernando Alonso. Of course, Kimi Räikkönen doing his final start. We encourage everyone to chat room, share some of your favorite moments or quotes from Kimi Räikkönen. We'll love to show them on the air. Now, one of the big things, if Lewis and Max finish first and second, it'll be a 7 or 8 point gap between them, because 7 points, then the 8 point if one of those 2 gets the fastest lap. Only in 1974 did the top 2 championships drivers enter tied. The closest margin we had for a championship was half a point in 1984 between Lauda and Prost. Starting with you, Ben, where will you rank this year's championship battle in your recent memory following F1 and all time?
Well, I got into it really around 2015, so it's right up there with 2016 for me. And I've got to say, I probably even put it above 2016 because 2016 was dominated by Mercedes. They won 19 of the 21 races. And honestly, probably could have had a perfect season if they don't take each other out in Spain, if Lewis's engine doesn't go in Malaysia. Although I guess if you think like that, you probably have to give Monaco to Red Bull and Daniel Ricciardo after they didn't get his tires ready in the pits in time. But regardless, the point is that Mercedes had an absolutely dominant season that year, probably their most dominant of the entire era that they've been so dominant in. And at least we were able to get a good title fight between their two drivers. But this year we have a title fight between not just two drivers, but two constructors as well. I know Mercedes are in prime position to take the Constructors' Championship, but that championship isn't even decided yet between Red Bull and Mercedes on that end of things. So it's been a thrilling championship battle. I've got to say, I think back to some of the great fights we've had that were long before my time. I don't know that I would get up here and go quite so far as to call it the greatest ever, but certainly the greatest of my lifetime, the greatest as a fan watching it unfold live right before me. And, it's up there. I mean, it is something truly special. And Josh, I think you were saying the other week, it would be nice to see a feature theatrical film made of this season like we saw with Rush back in the 70s, but maybe don't take as long this time because maybe do it while it's still a little bit more fresh in our minds because it's been absolutely phenomenal. And I think there's going to be a lot to talk about in many years to come going forward.
I think Netflix is calling you already there. They want a deal.
Yeah, definitely been a phenomenal championship, and like Ben was saying, in our lifetimes, this has definitely been one of the greatest championship battles in Formula One history. Maybe one of the greatest championship battles in motorsports history. I don't know if I go that far, but certainly a possibility. Really been amazing seeing what Max and Lewis have been able to do. Red Bull, Mercedes all throughout the year, and Humperdinck says you'd say 1989 in Suzuka. And speaking of championship battles, have two motorsport celebrities in the Formula One paddock this weekend. Got Pato Award from the NTT IndyCar Series. Had a great championship battle all year long in the States with the 2021 IndyCar champion Alex Palou, and Pato's going to be testing McLaren at the Young Drivers Test coming up in a couple of days' time, and also NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Larson's also in Abu Dhabi as well. I saw a quote from Jennifer from the Associated Press on Twitter saying that Pato Award's really excited to meet Kyle Larson. So really excited to see the two biggest superstars from NASCAR and IndyCar there inside the Formula One paddock.
I've been pondering this, and it's a tricky one to think about it. Is this one of the greatest title battles we've ever seen? Yes. Is it the greatest ever? It's too soon to tell. Going all time, I think 1999 was a great one. Hakkinen versus Irvine. The championship was given to Hakkinen after Ferrari disqualified from Sepang. It got turned over, so they went to Japan with all to play for. Hakkinen ended up winning. That was a great one. 2003, that was another classic. Three drivers went in with an opportunity. Schumacher, Raikkonen, and Montoya all went in with an option to win. Schumacher made history and got a sixth world title. 2006 was a good one. Alonso versus Schumacher. It should have been Schumacher's, but he got that puncture Oliver Rosberg's debris when he went to the wall at the top of the hill after Zhongkao. He fought his way back up to fourth, though, but Alonso was just too quick that day. He finished, I think, second and got the points he needed. 2007 was another great one. Three people going for it. If you remember, Alonso and Hamilton went in tied on the championship points that day, and they ended it tied as well, with Raikkonen creeping up throughout the entire season. That should have been McLaren's year, but they fumbled it, and Raikkonen snuck up and took it at the last race for the championship. I think the greatest world championship we've ever seen was 2008, full of controversy and drama between Ferrari and McLaren, still overspilling from 2007. That last lap maneuver we saw with Hamilton getting past Glock, and literally the championship decided at the last corner. And of course, they hit each other as well. Massa and Hamilton made contact with each other at Fuji, back onto the at the Japanese Grand Prix. 2010 was a great one for champions going into it. Webber and Alonso went in as favourites. Hamilton and Vettel were the outsiders. Webber and Alonso pitted early, got caught up in traffic. And then Hamilton still finished second, but he had to finish ahead of Vettel to get the title. So Vettel won his first title. 2012, I think, was a personal highlight for me in the commentary box because for me, there was no stake in it. There was no British driver involved in that one. So I could enjoy it purely as a fan. And I enjoyed commentating on Vettel going round and clawing his way back up the field. Alonso diving through on the inside as well. And that was a great, great race. 14 and 16, everyone raves about it, but they were both a bit lackluster. Rosberg hit trouble in Abu Dhabi in 2014, dropped out towards the back, finished 14th outside the points. Hamilton won it anyway. The only reason that went down to the last race of the year was because of double points. Hamilton would have wrapped it up in the race before Brazil if it wasn't for that. 2016, it was a good race. It went down to the last corner again, but that was only because Hamilton was backing Rosberg up into the path of Vettel and Verstappen. Rosberg had that controlled all season long. It's faded away the past couple of years. This is the last title. This is the first title fight since 2016. It's gone down to the final. And I certainly, thinking back, this has certainly been one of the most dramatic title fights we've ever had. It rivals Prost and Senna. It rivals Piquet and Mansell. They've come together more times than both of the two pairs I've just mentioned combined. They hit each other 3 times in Saudi Arabia. They've hit each other a total of 6 times across the season. They could hit each other tomorrow. It's level on points. I think we won't know until tomorrow to answer the question whether or not this is the greatest championship fight of all time. But certainly, I would rank it as 2008, 1990, and then 89 and 2021 sort of level on that standing in third. And I'll put 2003 sort of in P4 and 06. And it goes on as well. But we've had some cracking title decided. It's only happened 30 times in the F1 history. It's gone down to the last race. But if by some miracle they're still level on points at the end of it, and it's a battle over 9th and 10th and the fastest lap, then I think, yeah, it's going to be one of the greatest we've ever seen. But still, hands up, all 4 of us in here, I'll do it too. Hands up, do you want this to go down to the last corner and the last lap, and it's just literally a 100-meter sprint to the line to get this championship? That's what I want to see. Anybody else?
I would say, too, just such a unique track where it's not a whole lot of run from. If this was like Monza, where you had Tamburello coming out side by side in that long straight, oh my gosh, the place would be going nuts. 90-degree corner, I sorry have to give that advantage to whoever's going to be in the inside lane, because they might just squeeze the other person out on the rumble strip. So
it's possible. Me and Megan managed it in a rehearsal race we did for the commentating challenge. It was doable, but it was questionable. But still, I want this to come on. Give us a race. I think, honestly, whoever's writing this year, they've planned it that this isn't done with yet. We're going to have a great, great race, and this will be talked about, as you say, Ben, for years and years to come. And if I was to say when the movie of this will be released, I think we're looking at casting begins Monday morning for Lewis and Max.
I'd be happy to see the movie, especially I don't want to wait as long as fans from 1976 watch, but I want something good. I don't want something that goes straight to DVD. No. But definitely, we encourage everyone to channel and share your comments as well, too, about this, because this championship battle, I was too young really to remember 1990, 1989. I just remember especially the replay of Senna Prost crashing on lap 1, corner 1 of Suzuka. 2005, Alonso, Schumacher, that was really exciting because it was, again, can Schumacher get another world championship? And then you have Fernando Alonso going for his first world championship. Now here we are, 2021, Lewis Hamilton trying to get that 8th championship, and Max Verstappen trying to get his first. But throughout the entire season, despite how great both drivers have been, there's been mistakes. Especially we can see mistakes again tomorrow. either with strategy or on the track, causing the car to no longer finish the race. And all season long, it's been part of this epic bout is some of the missed opportunities, the DNFs, the contact from DNFs. We even saw a tire issue from Max Verstappen in Baku, all sorts of things. But rarely did we see driver error. Starting with you, Kobe, in your opinion, what was the biggest missed opportunity from each driver this season?
And before I answer the question, I'll pose the question to all our viewers in the chat room. If there's a movie made about this year's Formula One championship battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, which actors would you like to see play Lewis and Max in the movie? Please feel free to share your comments below and answer your question, Joe. I think the biggest missed opportunity definitely has to be the Azerbaijan Grand Prix because neither driver scored points in that race because it's all the tire failure of Max Verstappen and ended the race, and then Lewis Hamilton, he was trying to get around Sergio Perez at that late race restart, completely missed the corner and fell all the way back to last in the running order. So I think that's definitely the biggest missed opportunity for both drivers because assuming Hamilton makes the move stick on Sergio Perez, and unfortunately he didn't get fastest lap in the race. Max had fastest lap. If that was the case and Lewis Hamilton got the 25 points, he would have made life really difficult for Max Verstappen this weekend because Max would need to win the race, get fastest lap, and Lewis Hamilton would have to be outside of the points, and vice versa from Max as well. He would have been in the same situation if Lewis had finished out of the points, and he would have got fastest lap because it would have been a really difficult time for Lewis as well. So I think the biggest missed opportunity this season was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix with Max's tire and Lewis overshooting turn one.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say Azerbaijan for both of them. There's been several this year. I think that's certainly the biggest one that comes to mind for me, just because both of them had a chance to win that race. And, Max, the tire failure is obviously no fault of his own, but, Lewis had such a golden opportunity. Even if he had finished second or third in that race, life would still be very difficult for Max Verstappen this weekend. For Max, I think Silverstone obviously comes to mind. That was the first time that he and Lewis came together on the track, resulting in one or both of them retiring. And then, I think for Lewis, you have to look at Belgium and the whole debacle that Spa was this year. The reason that we have all of these stupid 0.5s on our screen right now, the half points race at Spa. I guess we should be thankful at least that it's not going to be a half point. That Max on 25, Lewis on 15, getting cut in half. They both end up with that 0.5 at the end. But if the race had been handled differently, or if it had been scrapped as a non-championship race or whatever, you can look at it one way as Verstappen basically getting 5 free points from that, 12.5 on Lewis's 7.5. So, that could be seen as a missed opportunity for Lewis as well, again, through no fault of his own, but the fact that the race really in many respects didn't happen. So, there's a lot to pick and choose from, but I think this year in particular, it's the biggest calendar we've ever had with 22 races. You can point to any one moment and say, well, you had 21 other races to make up for that. So, I think when it comes to both drivers, you look at Azerbaijan as an opportunity where both of them had a chance to win the race. Things didn't fall their way. But like I said, in a season this long, it's bound to even out at some point.
Yeah, it's quite hard to tell one moment, but you've took the words right out of my mouth there, Ben. I was going to take a moment to talk about Azerbaijan. I think that's the one moment where they've made both categorical mistakes on the track where they were not crashing into each other. That was 2 separate incidents. Max had his tire blowout, not his fault whatsoever. The debris on the track just shredded everything, and we saw multiple other errors in that race as well. Remember Lance Stroll slamming the wall at the same part with the tire failure. Lewis left his brake magic on as well at the start. He should have noticed it because we noticed the brakes were just glowing and the smoke billowing out, and he just braked and there was no pressure there, and straight off he went in towards turn 1. That was the 2 moments where I thought they could have had it, because that would have given Lewis the lead of the title, and Max him too. That victory would have given him the lead of the title because they were level on points. I think at that point in the championship, weren't they? Or round about 2 points difference or something like that. But it was a crucial race, and they both made those separate errors. Max, I think, dominated in Austria, came back after that one and winning 3 in a row. Lewis, I think, made a mistake in America. He shouldn't have been caught up in that error with the Red Bulls doing a undercut pincer maneuver on him as well. The same goes really for Lewis in France. Max fought back and won brilliantly. Red Bull won 5 races in a row, remember, between Monaco and Austria 2 at the Styrian Grand Prix. Or was it the Austrian Grand Prix, that one? It was Syria first and it was Austria. They kept moving it around. Belgium doesn't count, but certainly Lewis failed in qualifying there. He's usually quite quick there. He let Russell and Verstappen ahead of him. Turkey, Hamilton fought back well. I think the lowest point of the season was definitely Italy, more than when they ran into each other in Saudi or in Italy or in Silverstone. I think the low point definitely is that one point. The low point is in Italy when they both ran into each other because it just wasn't needed. They could have both just sort of had a cool, calm head. All that means, though, it's been the script that's been woven through the entire year, and we've got nil points coming into the last race. I think we'll decide tomorrow if one of them makes a categorical error that is solely on them, who's had the worst season. But right now, they're both best, and I'm unsure how to handle this. I don't think any of us are, because it's never happened in our lifetimes, and it's only happened once before, and it's impossible to tell.
It's impossible to tell what's going to happen. For me, one missed opportunity. I think when it comes to Monza, we know Verstappen, the Red Bull team, had that slower stop that could have avoided essentially the situation with him and Hamilton later on. And then with Hamilton, the Hungarian Grand Prix, it was just one of those circumstances, being the one car on the grid by himself on those intermediate tires and everybody pitting for the dry tires. That really hurt him. But definitely, it's been a season where I think we're all going to be talking about the 2021 F1 season. It's been a spectacular season to see both drivers push each other so hard. Last weekend, they were just miles ahead of the competition. I think it's going to be the same. Mercedes and Red Bull are just near even. Mercedes has one hand on the Constructor Championship. Still, Red Bull could claim it if Mercedes drops the ball big time. But it's just amazing. Driver Championship tied up, 1 race to go. It took 21 races to get here. No playoff format, just a season worth of results. 17 race wins between Verstappen and Hamilton. Perez, Ocon, Ricciardo, and Bottas, the only other drivers who win races this year. So very much we've seen 2 drivers really dominate the season, but it comes down to tomorrow. Whoever finishes ahead in the top 10 is going to be that champion. 13 drivers made the podium this year, and we've been very pleasure to watch this season all year long. And I know I've been seeing it in the chat room already, people sharing their pick of winners. We don't have Adam here with us, unfortunately, but Kobe, it is time for our favorite game.
Yeah, our favorite game, Pick a Winner, is also the final Pick a Winner of the 2021 racing season. Started back early this year in January, which seems like an eternity ago, and it comes down to this: last 2 points available this year for Pick a Winner, Formula One champion and Formula One race winner. Starting with you, Josh, who do you think is going to win the race and the World Championship?
I've been handed a cup of what was it? White hot chocolate. I've been handed a cup of white hot chocolate. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Yule as well, and Happy Holidays to everybody as well. So, cheers to you. In terms of who's going to win, what was that? I can hear vibrations in the background. I think that's my heart rate ready for tomorrow. Thinking about it as well. Head says, as I said earlier, head says Lewis, heart says Max. I can't pick between them, but you're going to make me, and I know you're going to make me. Max Verstappen. And that's all. I can't say any more because I'll start correcting myself. Max Verstappen will be the world champion at the end of tomorrow. The stats are on his side. History's on his side. He's led the title for more than 50% of the season. It's on his. I'm going to stop myself talking by having a drink. Cheers.
When it comes to pick a winner, it's so hard. I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton, race winner and champion.
I cannot bet against Lewis Hamilton. I just feel like Max Verstappen has things going his way right now a little bit. He's starting on pole, but you just can't pick against Lewis. He's been here 7 times before and gotten the job done. I think he wins the championship just to be a little bit different and put a wild card out there again, because I'm so far back and pick a winner. It doesn't really matter. I might as well just pick Mick Schumacher to shock the world with Haas tomorrow. But I'm not going to do that. I am going to go with Lando. It would be nice to see him get some redemption for Russia. His teammate won a race this year, and that would be a truly epic story to end the year on. I don't know how it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen because Max and Lewis take each other out. I hope Lando can do it on raw pace. It would be very nice to see. But yeah, I've got Josh with me here in the chat as well. So let's see. Maybe Lando can do something special tomorrow.
I asked him earlier on in the commentary, because he was in the pit reporter role for me, who's going to be world champion. He says it was too close to call. He's now gone with Verstappen. He's changed his mind already. That's it. It's ebbing and flowing so much.
Yes, championship battle definitely going to be too close to call. But like you said, man, I think it's going to be extremely hard to bet against Lewis Hamilton. If Lewis and Max crash out, I think Lando Norris will win the race. But I'm going with Lewis Hamilton for the race and for the championship as well, assuming we're going to see a clean race between the Mercedes and the Red Bull's driver. And next we have 2 special pick of winners. First, from CC, the F1 cat, Toast, with his pick.
Ooh.
And next we have our grid office dog Kiska with her pick. As you can see, Kiska goes with Max Verstappen to win. And it's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna be right, Toast or Kiska. And we definitely invite everyone in the chat room below to comment with your picks. Who's gonna win the Formula One race and who's gonna win the overall championship? It's definitely gonna be quite a banger. Really excited to end such a historic championship battle under the lights at Abu Dhabi.
A historic championship battle, one we're always going to be, I think, talking about. It's been F1 is the pinnacle of motorsports. When it comes to 2021, the pinnacle championship battle is definitely the Formula One championship battle. And of course, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our Patreon. Colin, Mark, Deschelle, Robin, they invested in us. Yeah, thank them for keeping us on the air throughout this incredible season. And we're looking forward to next year. You could join in, have your name on that list. And if you want to do a one-time contribution, below is a link to Buy Me a Coffee, where you could definitely do as little as just buy your favorite on-air personality coffee or a one-time contribution to keep the Grid Network on the air. And of course, be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all our social media pages. TikTok, we just posted there our pick a winner, and we'll be posting the video of Kiska making her pick as well. So definitely be sure to check us in TikTok and subscribe to us right here on YouTube. We're on the air just about every week. We're coming to the holiday break. We'll be back January. Of course, we had the Rolex 24 and Formula E Publix. That is your home for definitely investing in the stock market. Use our code GRIDnet, get $5 in free stock. And for being a Grid Network viewer, Publix, 10% discount for Grid Network viewers. Portion of each sale goes to helping homeless, sick, and rescued dog. Kiska was a rescue dog that we adopted, and we definitely love having her here at the Grid Network. I know definitely I see some more people commenting. My pets are not the only ones making it on air today, so it sounds like somebody else is going to be sharing who their pet will pick as well for pick a winner in this championship. As we close, we do want to end on a more serious note. Of course, Al Unser, second member of the Unser family dynasty and the second to win the Indianapolis 500, passed away on December 9th at his home in Shama, New Mexico. He was the second IndyCar driver in history to win 4 times the Indianapolis 500 IndyCar's premier race. Born in Albuquerque, New Mexico on May 29th, 1939, Alfred Unser made history, made his first start at the Indy 500 in 1965. Of course, he went on to win in 1970, along with 71, 78, and 87. Of course, his brother, Bobby Unser, he was the first Unser driver to win the Indianapolis 500. But of course, it was, as we all know, Al Unser to be the second driver to join the four-time winner club. He witnessed as Rick Mears, and then this past year, Helio Castroneves joined that club. We definitely want to send our condolences and sincere thoughts to the Unser family, which of course lost Bobby Unser in May this year, and with the passing of Al Unser this past weekend. We thank everybody for watching today's program, and we'll see you all next time tomorrow for Grid Life Wrap Up.